welcome to Life with Mary Walter. Welcome to Mary Walter Radio. How are you? One of these days we're going to have a smooth start. One of these days I'm not going to have to edit out James making noise in the beginning of this video. I heard the chair crunch, crunch. I'm like, okay, there we go. There it is. That's how everybody knows we're coming on. I'm Mary Walter. This is my work husband, James. Hello.
Hello.
Hi. First of all, let me say hello to, we do have some new subscribers, Joe, Barman Joe, and somebody else told me today, Dave McL, also, and then someone told me today that they signed up. So I would assume that means they subscribed, but they didn't come up on our subscription. So I sometimes forget to read that and I apologize. If you're new, welcome. Please subscribe to the channel. You please also like the podcasts as well. We do appreciate that. You can go back and watch older podcasts. We've lots of fun guests that we've had in the past so far. Please feel free. Please like those podcasts if you do watch them. And even if you didn't like them, we would appreciate it if you liked. Thank you. We can be bought easily, it's no problem. Also, the audio will be available on Apple Podcasts and Spotify about an hour after the broadcast here. If you are watching on YouTube, you can participate. You can leave comments. We will put them up on the screen as we go through. If you are watching on Getter, those comments do not automatically come up on the screen. However, I can I can read them out for people who are listening or to on Apple Podcasts and Spotify, and also here on YouTube if they're listening on YouTube, since they won't see your comments. So we do appreciate you joining us. Someone texted me in the middle of the podcast. There we go. I'd like to big thank you to EB, who does all of the graphics for us. So if we have guests, he does all the graphics for the guests. He does all the graphics for the show. And his son, Zach, is our #1 fan. So we always have to give a big shout out to Zach. Hello, Zach. So we have some comments already. So let me get to the comments. All right. Let me get to those first. And let's see. Now Tax USA says, with all this dysfunction in the world and Congress, the Bidens, we need to talk about something fun like income taxes and property taxes.
Good diversion.
Excuse me. Bill, hello, Queen Mary. Hello, Bill. Barry, now Tax USA. I agree. I get a rush paying taxes and then stealing them back. Barry and Cy Diamond here from Somerset, New Jersey, formerly of Brooklyn. Hello, Barry. Barry's such a good friend. Porchview Farm, hello. I agree with tax. I can't wait. Tina, I'm just here for support. I married the producer. Yes, she has. So just so you know, later on in the show, we are going to talk about something fun. I always try to do that. We don't always talk politics. Sometimes we don't talk any politics at all. We're not going to be talking about Israel. We're not going to be talking about Hamas and bombing, because I think everyone's just kind of OD'd on that. I don't know about everybody, but I just need like a.
We should take in some fresh Ukraine news. Nothing like the Eastern Front talk that the Russians are stalling at would be great. Meanwhile, that Southern Front's doing well. So, but that's
I haven't even been paying attention to that. I got to tell you.
See how it works, right? In the world, like that Israel thing is laser focused. Meanwhile, there's a perfectly good war going on in Ukraine with Russia that's never changed, still happening. Still a lot of booms and bomb-bombs.
I think it's going to be a lot easier to comprehend and follow when it all just morphs into one big World War III. So,
Yeah. Yeah, so
it
just takes one good shot from Iran and this thing pops off good.
Exactly. But we're not going to go there. I do have some immigration news that's flying under the radar, but I think it kind of ties in with all of this that's happening. So we are going to talk about that. We're going to talk about something fun that I'm doing this weekend with someone who you've all heard about, and I'll share some pictures and tell you what I'm doing this weekend. I'm very excited about that. We'll talk about James's first week as a newlywed with the lovely Ringo. We'll find out what they've been doing. And we're also going to talk about conservative men and how Americans view conservative men. So we'll have some fun with that as well. All right. So did I forget anything?
No.
Okay. The only thing I want to add is that Thursday, I will be in for Andrew Wilkow on Sirius, XM Sirius Patriot Channel 125 from noon to 3. So I'm in for Andrew. So I'm very excited about that. So we've got some good guests. And then, of course, on Monday, I will be on the Chris Salcedo show between 4:30 and 5 o'clock on Newsmax TV. Look at this. Broke out the long sleeve shirts. It's cold. It's cold. I got my Oktoberfest shirt on, already. So,
Good
all right,
Oktoberfest beer time.
yeah. Our friends used to have an Oktoberfest. It was a crazy, crazy Oktoberfest. This is the 2011 chair. It was the 14th. And it was like a little cul-de-sac thing. And they had those four houses and they had beer trucks and they had
Oh,
Jägermeisters to come and they do a big ice slide. And it was all for charity.
nice.
So it was really a lot of fun. It was really a lot of fun. Like in 2016, they had a actually it would have been 2016. They had a big cutout of Donald Trump and a big cutout with Hillary, and you could get your picture taken with one or the other. Yeah,
Nice.
so it was a lot of fun, but that no longer happens anymore. So they don't have that anymore. Okay, so let me tell you what's going on with immigration. First of all, you've got this war that is going on with Israel and Hamas, right? And now
Right.
you've got Hezbollah shooting rockets into every now and then into Israel from the north, with the hopes, I guess, of just overwhelming the Iron Dome and so they can take Israel out. That's not going to end well. It's not going to go well. This is going to be bad, 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 bad. But what it does is, especially with all the protests this past week on these college campuses with these kids who are screaming all pro Hamas, death to Israel. I mean, horrible, horrible things, harassing Jewish students on campus. So, the kids who are threatened by, someone calling them by the wrong gender get a safe space, right? But threatening the lives of Jewish students, they're like, oh, yeah, we really can't do much about it, free speech and all. So, you see this weird, shocking double standard from the left. But so there's two things that come in with that. Here's one. Senator Tom Cotton yesterday sent a letter to Alejandro Mayorkas, who is the head of the Homeland Security, right? Who's done literally nothing on the border except keep it open and allow all these people to come in here. And here's what he said. He said, I write to urge you immediately to deport any foreign national, including and especially any alien on a student visa that has expressed support for Hamas and its murderous attacks on Israel. Again, apologize. I had the flu like 10 days ago and I'm still. So I heard that. I was like, oh, okay. We don't support anybody. Who are we kidding? Right. But there's a law that I never heard of. And there's a federal law, according to Tom Cotton. He says federal law is clear that any alien who, quote, endorses or espouses terrorist activity or persuades others to endorse or espouse terrorist activity or support a terrorist organization, which Hamas is an officially designated terrorist organization,
With a political weight, right?
is inadmissible and must be deported. So, post haste, when is that happening?
Waiting for the roundup sirens.
That's never going to happen.
No.
He goes on to say, swiftly removing and permanently barring from future re-entry any foreign student who signed onto or shared approvingly the anti-Semitic letter from the Harvard Palestine Solidarity Committee on October 7th would be a good place to start. I think he's right. He said, he goes on to say, the appalling explosion of anti-Semitism in the United States over the past few weeks should disturb anyone who shares American values. While American citizens may have a First Amendment right to speak disgusting vitriol if they so choose, no foreign national has a right to advocate for terrorism in the United States. Yeah. Yes. So I'm all for that. Like, I'm super stoked that these alumni who have a ton of money are withdrawing their money and from Penn, from Harvard, from some of these big Ivy League institutions, taking the money as I'm out. I'm done. You people are out of control. And money talks. But so far, I haven't seen any of those students. I mean, some of those students I have seen have been thrown out of some schools, but a lot of them haven't. Why should they be thrown out? And should they be deported under this law? Go.
Yes, deport these people. You can, all you want, decide. And I'm sure there have been times where maybe Israel hasn't done always the right thing. I get it. The United States also sometimes doesn't do the right thing. None of that at all justifies killing, what was the last number? 2,000 people over there in Israel. They're up to, at least from that day. I mean, nothing.
It also
slaughter
doesn't justify standing here and saying advocating killing people. I just thought was illegal anyway.
Well, that's what I mean. Like they're supporting the concept, I guess, that Israel deserved to have people slaughtered in the streets and burned and
right,
brutalized, peed on, all kind of crazy, psychotic, sick stuff. Sure, if you think there's justification for that, maybe you deserve to go over there and be with your people.
Yeah, I'm all for sending them back. You're Palestinian, head on back.
Well, I'm okay. Look, it's one thing if you're Palestinian, you're here and you're unhappy with what's going on. There's a way to do that without threatening Jews, right? I mean, there's a way to do that and not be anti-Semitic. You're allowed to have free speech and say, I don't think they're upholding their rights well, or whatever you want to protest in a natural way, but that's America. But there's a difference between, protesting an issue and being anti-Semitic.
They are
terrorists.
They are trying to nail Donald Trump to the cross for quote unquote inciting a riot, in which the only people who were killed were 2 protesters, right? They're trying to nail him to the cross because people broke windows. It's not like they set off a bomb like they did in the 80s, when a bunch of liberals, Weather Underground, Barack Obama's mentors, Bill Ayers and Bernadette Dorn, that crew set off a bomb in the Capitol. It's not like they did that, but they're trying to get Donald Trump because he said, go and make your voices peacefully heard. And these people are advocating death to Jews. And I'm not quite sure why they're still here. Why haven't they been on the front? We can send the plane over full and bring back a whole bunch of Americans on it. Right?
Mm-hmm. All right. Get some Americans out of there.
That's right. Why? Yeah, and that's the other thing. Why do we have private organizations who are taking the Americans out? What the hell is that about? Barry says these college punks only threaten those who look scared. I hope they try that with me.
Nice.
Barry's my age, so he may not be swift of foot. I'm just saying. Now Tax USA says no talk about war. But if we were energy independent, the Mideast would be just sheep farmers, the college student protesters, insurrectionists. Yeah, well, we can't be energy independent. We have to be dependent on electricity, which is apparently just comes out of the wall. It's like generated by unicorn farts or something, because and you just plug it in the wall. It's magical. It's magic. Gregory says, why haven't they imprisoned Mayorkas is beyond me. He's literally done nothing for his salary. Yeah, but
it's not illegal to do nothing for your salary, apparently.
Here's the thing. It's worse. He's done harm in exchange for his salary. It's not that he's done. I wish he's done nothing. He's openly advocated and kept the borders open and sat there and tells us it's like a Saturday Night Live skit where there's just people like jumping over a fence behind him. And he's like, no, the border's totally secure. Like, if SNL was actually not a bunch of liberal stooges, they would do a skit like that, right? Porchview Farm says that would be 90% of the University of North Dakota. Bye-bye. See ya.
North Dakota.
Now Tax USA, JMU came out in support of Israel, the home of Jim Acosta's CNN and JMU alumni. Is that James Madison University, I think? JMU? I think so. The married guy is correct. You, James. Chris says, Michigan has the largest Arab population outside of any Arab country. Yes, they do. Excuse me. That state's political leaders barely condemn what Hamas.
Yeah, it's bonkers. The fact that any leader wouldn't condemn that.
Well, I mean, they've got Hamtramck. That's where Rashida Tlaib is from. That's her area, Rashida Tlaib. And she's just a flat out anti-Semite, and she doesn't care. She doesn't care. And if she were Republican, the Democrats would be screaming to have her removed from office, that she should be thrown out. But because she's a Democrat, she can sit there. Tina says that's the only time married guy's going to hear that he's correct.
Huh.
Very funny. What are you doing, Shirley? What are you doing? I got a cat who's sniffing something.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, that's not good. It means I got to go into there and find out what the hell she's sniffing. Did you pee there in a previous? Oh, she walked away. Okay. By the way, one of my cats, the youngest one, Grace, made her TV debut on Newsmax on Monday.
Oh.
She jumped in. she jumped into my lap partway through the hit. So I'm like trying to like push her down, like try to get her to lay on my lap. And you just see this tail, like tail kind of like trying to push the tail out. And at the very end, her head just pops up. I'm trying to push her down. So she made her TV debut. Scott says it's catnip. I don't think it's catnip. My hunch is that like back in the day when we had our old cat, when she was old, she may have peed there. I don't know. I'll have to check it out. So along those lines of what's happening with the people that we import to this country legally on student visas, who then overstay their visas, like
Yeah.
on 9/11, right? They go on to say, so ICE. Listen to this. They've admitted that there's a record 5.7 million illegals in the U.S. under Biden alone. Now, this is what they're admitting to. We know the number is much, much higher under Biden because it doesn't count the known gotaways, which are probably about 2 million at this point in the game. So you're talking about 8 million people in 3 years that he's added, which is more than, the population of Wyoming, the population of North Carolina, all the stuff that we're adding onto the system. And
can we give them Wyoming? I'm sorry.
I like Wyoming. Wyoming's a nice place.
I was kidding. I was literally nothing against nice people in Wyoming. I'm just kidding. It's big. I was just.
Two of my classmates, Barry would know this. You know who I'm talking about, Barry. Brad and Wright moved there. Two brothers who were in our class. They're out in Wyoming, and they had how they were born in New Jersey is beyond me. I have no idea. Let's see. Greg wants to know: does the cat get scale? Yeah, the cat gets paid as much as I do. Bill, love your hair tonight. Oh, thank you. I got a cut like 2 weeks ago. Thank you so much. Israel is one of our oldest allies. How can anyone here be against them? They've warned us about 9/11. Because there are people who don't believe that. If you've been on Twitter, it's really shocking what's happening. The conversations on Twitter. People will be like, "Oh, they beheaded children. Where are the pictures? Where are the pictures? Why can't? Well, I don't believe that. Where are the pictures?" I'm like, okay. And then if you saw the pictures, you would say that you don't believe them, that they're not real. There's just some people who, you've got Ilhan Omar. She posted out this picture of dead Palestinian children. Well, it turns out it was a 10-year-old picture from Syria. But she put it out there so people believe it.
Right.
You have them talking about that it was Israel that bombed that hospital today. Well, now we're finding out it wasn't Israel. Looks like Hamas. They're not too good. Those rockets, since they're homemade, aren't necessarily always accurate. And so also something exploded in the hospital. So what does that tell you? There were munitions being stored in that hospital as well. And that's what they do.
You mean to tell me they're not using precision guided weapons, the Hamas terrorists?
Well, when they make them in the basement, they sometimes don't always necessarily, work properly.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
So when you have people who are in government who put out that just blatant lies, I hate the word misinformation. It's a lie, right? Isn't misinformation a lie? Isn't that just a fancy dancy cleaned up word for lying?
I got it. I wish I could forget the ex-military guy I watch who does this all the time. He'll show. I think he just did that hospital tonight. You say it. He's really good at, but he does say it. This does happen often, even when you're not trying. There's a lot of war footage that gets passed around that ends up being what you don't think it is. Like that happened to Ukraine war a lot. Like this is the thing where the Russian thing got blown up, and you find out something from Syria or some other, they just got it wrong.
Yeah.
And he'll pull it apart, be like, because you said it's this, it can't be that because this unit plate says it's not that. And he'll like really dissect all that stuff. He's really good at that.
Yeah, that's what happens.
Yeah, a lot of that stuff you just have bad info. But you would expect a congresswoman to have slightly better access. You think she'd have slightly better access to some info.
But they're all about the agenda. They don't care.
Oh, right,
that's all they're about. Because, again, Rashida Tlaib represents that area in Detroit, which is how we got off on that in Michigan, which is how we got off on the tangent with Gregory pointing out that, Michigan has the largest Arab population. And I will say, I know New Jersey has the largest Hasidic Jewish population outside of Israel.
Wow.
And I want to say the New York, New Jersey area probably has the largest Jewish population outside of Israel, right?
I would think so. Yeah, it's massive between the central Jersey, quote unquote, up to straight up. Yeah, and even down here, Cheerio and Mount Laurel,
Yep.
or my area down here in New Jersey.
Yeah. Yep. Absolutely.
You're not that stuff about expired student visas. I've probably told
Mm-hmm.
that story once and honor the person. I won't tell it again. I'll be super fast. I have a friend that works for the government in a very information intensive job, let's just say. And while he was in DC for a while, stationed there, he started dating an Iranian girl. And then one day, about 2 weeks into it, he gets pulled into an office and sat down at one of those tables. And they're like, "Who's this?" And he's like, "That's the girl I've been seeing, blah, 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 blah." And they're like, "Never contact her, never talk to her again, never email her. You can't say goodbye, none of that at all. If we find out you do, you're under arrest." He has no idea to this day what happened to her. We're guessing they picked her up for something because he was Iranian national on an expired student visa. That's who he was dating. An Iranian national on an expired student visa.
And they never say they're Iranian; they say they're Persian.
Right.
They always say Persian, because most Americans are like, "Oh, Persia. I heard that's nice," not knowing that it's an ungodly hellhole. You know what's weird? They got your friend, but they totally missed Eric Swalwell dating Fang Fang.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
They totally missed that. They missed Dianne Feinstein's Chinese driver for 20 years. They missed that.
Yeah. You think. Maybe because he was so close to the vest and they're a little farther out. I don't know.
It's ridiculous. Okay, where are we? Okay, now Tax USA, Trump restated he would close the border for any known terrorist nations. Good. That's the way it should be. But that's racist. Queen's Raiders, your cat got more views than CNN. Yes, she did. Barry says, I never knew that. Our classmates, they're not on Facebook. No, they are not. They're off the grid, totally off the grid. Life is not a children's book. You don't need pictures to believe, according to Tina. It's a good point. Gregory says, rockets made out of sewer pipes aren't state of the art. True.
Using that old copper.
Now Tax USA says sewer pipes are state of the fart. I love a good 8-year-old boy joke. I love it.
Gotta sneak them
in. Scott says, give me some catnip, baby. I need it right now, and I don't mean maybe. Over on Getter MJP and Y, Mary always has great information. Thank you. I see these stories, and I'm kind of prepping for Wilkow show on Thursday, but I see these stories like the stories about getting this law that we can deport these people who are here on student visas from who support known terrorist organizations like Hamas. Every single one of them that signed that Harvard letter, deport their holy butts back they go. So I save those stories, and that's what I like to do here, because you can hear about the other stuff. You can hear about Israel and the bombing and the hospital, all that stuff on any given news channel, but who's covering that story, right? Like nobody. So this other story that goes along with this is what I was saying, that ICE admits that they have a record 5.7 million illegals in the US, and it's really closer to 8, which imagine if he brings another 2 million in his last remaining year. That's pretty much what he is on. Yep. There's a thing called the Release and Reporting Management Program. It's called RRM because everything has an acronym. And so ICE is overseeing about 5.7 migrants, not to be confused with illegal immigrants, in the U.S. Now, there's this plan called the Release and Reporting Management Program, the RRM program. The plan, they're going to get vendors. They have these NGOs that work with them all the time, and they take the money, your taxpayer dollars, and they funnel out to these NGOs. And then the NGOs use it sometimes to help illegals skirt the system. So we're paying to help them break the law, to skirt the system, right?
Makes sense.
The plan is for vendors to join ICE's monitoring of illegals through ankle monitors, phone apps, and in-person check-ins. Now, if they don't want to be monitored through their cell phone, what do you think they do?
Toss it.
Toss the cell phone. If they don't want to be monitored through an ankle monitor, what do?
Break off the ankle monitor and run.
There you go. And if they don't want to check it in person, what do? Stay home.
Don't call.
Right. No, they don't check in.
No check in.
Here's what else this new initiative, this RRM program, aims to do. First of all, the program is estimated to cost billions, with a B that way, billions more. I mean, because we have so much money now. What the hell? What's another couple billion? And it's going to be basically what is being called, according to Tom Homan, former ICE director, it's going to be a welfare program for illegals who are not being detained, who are waiting their court dates. So they come to this country, they have nothing. They come here illegally. They know that. So we give them a court date and say, you have to show up in 4 years at this date in this place, right? To report it. So in that 4 years, well, we don't want them to be homeless or hungry or anything. So we're going to have welfare for them because they cannot legally get on our welfare. If they have a child, that child is an American and that's their ticket, because that child then it can get food stamps and free, that's their opening into all the programs that are reserved for American citizens. Excuse me, I'm so sorry. Okay, so this includes those held in ICE detention for processing at the border or in facilities awaiting deportation. Those people are not included in that 5.7. So that's addition. So if they're being held, you're giving them 3 hots and a cot already. And their medical care and their dental care and all this other stuff that they need. They're already getting that because they're like prisoners. So they get that. So these are not those people. The services for all RRM participants would include, are you freaking ready? Legal assistance. Do you get free legal assistance? Because I don't get free. Do you get free?
Only in criminal situations.
Psychosocial services, because they might need mental health counseling. It's been an arduous journey. Mm-hmm. Breaking into a country is hard. Therapeutic services.
That's a little crazy.
Medical services, which they already get in our hospitals, but, we'll give them their own. Food, clothing, housing, public transportation information, parental information, education information, and repatriation and reintegration services.
Well, the last couple all sound normal. The weirdest one of all of those was the therapeutic spot treatment sources. Your nails might be dirty. Why not go get a manicure? I mean, you're awaiting trial for
I'm sorry, but I read this and my blood boils. As long as we have homeless vets, what the hell? Why are we not spending billions on homeless vets to make sure that they're getting the mental health counseling they need, that they have a roof over their heads? The city of Chicago is giving them $9,000 once they get kicked out of the housing because they don't have it, to help them with rental assistance. Do we give that to our vets? What the hell?
What's the number already on suicides now? That's 20,000 or so. Disgusting number that it is. I mean, yeah, those people.
It's absolutely disgusting.
I mean, I'm all for fixing the immigration system. Part of this problem is people waiting to be immigrants, here illegal or not, whatever, have to wait 4 years, 7 years to become a citizen. It's insane what the immigration system is. I'm not saying this justifies what's going on, but I am saying our immigration system is a disaster. It's
right. And it could be fixed, but they can't agree because one side wants totally open borders and the other side is like, no, we should control. We should have quotas. Only this many people can come in, blah, 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 blah. Barry says, why is Israel waiting so long to find the hostages? I'm sure a good chunk of the Palestinians are out. I don't know if they're waiting or we just don't know.
I just watch a lot of military oriented stuff. Seemingly like their version of our Delta Force and our kind of people are over there, but they're in tunnels, most likely.
Right.
They're pretty far down in tunnels that are pretty inaccessible to any kind of that kind of an operation. But I don't. I'm just going by military people on the internet talking. I'm not. I don't know.
I was in for David Webb last week. And we interviewed a guy who, and I wish I could remember the name of his organization, and I can look it up. But anyway, we had him on, and he is worth all, the former, special forces and all those guys who go over, they go to Afghanistan to get Americans out. They're still getting Americans out 2 years later because Joe Biden left them there, which is, he should have been impeached for that. How the hell was he not impeached for leaving? First of all that military equipment that is now being used, some of it, I'm guarantee you, is being used by Hamas. I don't know that for sure, but I would not be surprised if Iran didn't buy a good chunk of that from the Taliban with the $6 you gave them, right?
I got to change that. Come to find out, Taliban and Iran, not friends. And I'm not saying Joe Biden is not smart to plan this, but they have been border fighting. The Taliban have been using all those weapons to launch at Iran since they got them. Yeah, they are not. Good thing is they are not friends with Iran. I'm not saying the Taliban's good,
right?
But you know,
right.
Using some Russian equipment and older American equipment to bomb Iran turns out to not be the worst consequence of them having all those.
But
weapons.
Leaving that equipment there, Joe Biden should have been impeached for that, and he should have been impeached for leaving American citizens there. Absolutely, no question asked. You don't do that. I have been evacuated by the State Department from a foreign country, so I know.
Did you enjoy that?
Boom, 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 boom on the door at 2:00 in the morning. Like, what?
That's got to be exciting though, on some level, right? Like, chop, chop, chop. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go.
You know, I was in the former Yugoslavia. At the time, it was becoming the former Yugoslavia, and we were at Medjugorje with a priest and some nuns and stuff. I'm like, God's not going to let me die a martyr. I'm pretty much sure we got this covered. You know what I mean?
Yeah. It's too easy.
I mean, maybe a little bit, but I'm not dying because I'm not that good of a person. God's not going to let me like die on a religious pilgrimage because I think you get like straight to heaven on that one. I'm pretty sure I'm going to spend a lot of time in purgatory.
Yeah.
So I knew we weren't going to die. I was very cavalier about the whole thing. I'm like, I'm not dying on a religious pilgrimage. No way. This isn't going to happen. Okay. MJPNY says, Mary, are you still substituting for Kill Meat on Fox Radio? Yes, but they're smart. They have several people on the bench. So, when Brian's out, they kind of rotate. They have different people who do it. It's not only one or two people. They have like probably four people 4 or 5 people that they work through the rotation for Brian. So, if he's out for a week, they'll give me like 2 days. Somebody else gets a day, that kind of thing. So yes, I am. But Brian's been around lately. So I have not, I get to work Christmas, Thanksgiving, New Year's, all the holidays. That's when I get to work. Yay me.
Yeah.
Let's see. Now Tax USA says the White House just announced they'll start to deport all MAGA supporters. That would not surprise me. If we could find an island or someplace to just all go together, I would be down with that. Scott says there's thousands and thousands of underground tunnels. They've been building there for many years. That's true.
Yeah, that's why it's hard to get to them. Yeah.
Gregory, I'm all for total and complete moratorium on immigration of any type for several years until things can get straightened out. It wouldn't be the first time. Yeah. But remember, Trump wanted to do that, and there's great. It's racist. It's this. It's that. It's xenophobic.
He didn't even have Republican support for that. I'm not saying it's right or wrong. I'm saying like there was a lot of politicians that were like, no.
Right.
Yeah.
It's ridiculous. We take more people in legally every year than any other country on the face of the planet. How many people can we possibly take in? How many? Scott says they let the Red Cross interview the hostages and they said they're being treated well. Well, okay. That was not an interview with the Red Cross. That video that was put out by Hamas, and she was told what to say. Do not for a hot second believe a word they're saying.
Yeah, I'm saying when your arm is bent like this and sort of like this, they're probably telling you what to say.
Right.
You might not be in the best circumstances, all puffy lip looking and bent up. Yeah, they probably set her straight and told her how to go,
I told my husband, I said, if we're ever in a situation like that, because a lot of people are talking about that now because there are sleeper cells in this country. You know that. There's Hamas in this country. There's Hezbollah in this country. 2 million people who didn't want to be caught walking across the border, evading, immigration, who's just going to take you and fly you anywhere you want to go, avoiding those people. There's Chinese who have come across the border like that. They just got a whole bunch of Somalis, of military-age men, Somalis at the border, right? So how many have gotten through and haven't been caught, right? So those people are here. I always tell my husband, I'm like, if they're taking me hostage and you got one bullet left, please put it through my skull. I just want to die. I do not want to be taken hostage. He even knew what I was going to say. He goes, let me guess. I go right through my head. Please make it a good shot though. Boom, right through. That's all I want. And then I'm done. I do not want to.
I'm waving to the snipers in the background, like me, hit me,
right.
hit me, please, don't let them go. Just
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, the RFI, this form is so this RRM participants that are going to get all these freebies. It's going to cost billions to the American taxpayer. These services are designed to increase participant compliance with immigration obligations. So they think that if we give these things to them, then they'll start to report in for stuff.
Here's a carrot. Come on,
yeah,
please.
exactly.
Come back,
yeah.
please. Come on.
We're going to give you a whole bunch of stuff we don't give American citizens. The Biden administration is in the planning phase and has not rolled out RRM yet, but they plan to send out a request for proposal to vendors in the fiscal year 2024. Okay, so almost 8 million, well, we know it's almost 6 million that are a part of the system, right? That they're saying they're estimating about 6 million. How many do you think are currently being tracked by some kind of technology in this country right now? How many illegals do you think are currently being tracked by some kind of technology, knowing that approximately 2 million come in that are part of the system, that have been gotten a court date, that type of thing?
I'm betting we'd even take 5 million right off the table. It's not 5. I don't think it's a million. I think the numbers are under. I'm going to go 400,000.
194,632.
It's a big overestimation on my part.
But if you were a grandma who walked through an open door on January 6th, took a couple pictures, and then left, they're going to raid your home 2 years later and send you to jail. But we can only keep track of 194,632 illegals.
So not even 1/6 of them.
So the other ones just roaming the country totally untracked. So they think if we give them all these freebies, mental health services and therapeutic services and free legal, and we give you food and we give you clothing and housing and all the stuff we're going to give them, courtesy of the U.S. taxpayer, that they'll, I guess, come in from the cold.
I'm sure some might come in to sign up for that. So maybe we get that number up to 250,000 with these programs. Wouldn't that be grand?
To the billions of dollars to get 250,000 on it.
Yeah, well, that sounds like government math to me. That doesn't seem crazy at all. That's some real government math there.
Yep. Gregory says, and those are the dumb ones.
Yeah. See, sir.
That's very true. Very, very true. All right. You want to lighten it up just a tad here? Want to lighten it up a little bit?
All right, if we have to.
Okay. So if you're commenting, I can't see your comments right now just because I'm doing something here. Let me just make sure I do this properly. Present screen. Window. I think this is it. I put it here. I know. Hold on. I just got to make sure I do this properly.
Hey.
Okay. So, no, it's not there. Why is it not there? It's not there.
Is that the blackness of my heart?
Yeah. It's not there. Oh, no. I tried. It's right here. Why won't it show? Let me try it this way. I'm trying hard. Is to stop sharing. Okay. So let me see if I can do this. Sorry, guys. Just bear with me for a hot second here. Share screen. Window.
Long roll.
Stop it. I can't do it. Oh, well. I don't think I can do it. I can try. Let me I know. Wah, wah. I don't know why it's here entire screen. Oh, it is. I found it. Okay. Yay. Okay. So for those of you who have heard my stories, when I was living in Washington, D.C., my neighbor next door was this wonderful woman named Rhoda.
Yes.
And when Rhoda and I started our little relationship, our friendship, she was in her late 80s. She's now just turned 92 years old, right?
Awesome.
So Rhoda and I had all of our adventures together, and I talked to her every week. And one thing we used to do is every Tuesday, I thought it was Monday. She said it was Tuesday. It was Tuesday in the summer. It was Wednesday the rest of the year. And I would go down to her apartment, and she would set the table with good china and all that stuff. And and we would have our little adventures together. So one of the things Rhoda liked to do is a drink. So I would take Rhoda. Let me pick that one. And Rhoda and I would go. Look at there she is.
Oh,
That was one of
that's
our
awesome.
favorite places. We would go to Leah's, and that drink is called the French Kiss, and she loved French kisses. So I took this picture, all right, and this is
Okay.
why I wanted to do stuff that's not necessarily, super,
Yeah, of course.
something a little bit lighter. Let me see if this is the right one. Oh, nope, that's the wrong one. Hold on. I have another one here to share with you. Okay, this picture right here. This is Rhoda. So
Oh,
I was having our little coffee clutch, and she looks at me one day, and she goes, "Mary, you know what we're going to do?" I go, "What?" She goes, "You're taking me to a drag queen brunch." I'm like, "Wait, what?" So Rhoda wanted to go to a drag queen brunch. So okay. So this is Rhoda and me at the drag queen brunch. I took her to a drag queen brunch, and I will tell you, I have video, but it's not super clear. But a bunch of women from the radio station I worked with down in DC, we all got together, and then I took her and her Rhoda's Yenta friends, and we went to the. You should see me loading the Yentas into a big SUV,
oh, that's
and I had to
awesome.
like pick Rhoda up and like throw her in. She couldn't get in. And she goes, "My legs don't lift that high." Lift her into the SUV.
Oh,
And I took them. Rhoda did a shot with one of the drag queens. She took the microphone out of one of their hands and just started talking. She was the life of the party. We had so much fun. So the two pictures that you just saw, I took and I printed them out today at Walgreens. What a trial that was. And but they're very helpful. And I took those two pictures. I got some frames. I got two frames like the ones that fold at Michael's, and I put them in there
yeah.
because I'm gonna see Rhoda this weekend. So
Oh, that's
excited!
awesome.
I'm going down to see my
Nice.
girl. So we're
That's sweet.
having a coffee clutch this weekend. We're gonna get together, bringing a whole bunch of baked goods. But she loves her baked goods, and we're gonna have our. She's gonna set. I know she will set the table like she always does with her china. She gets a tablecloth out. She gets out good
Oh,
china, linen napkins. She has it all set, and she's so happy because she got her granddaughter gave her a Keurig, so she makes me coffee.
nice.
Yes, and then instead of creamer, she goes, "We don't need cream." Pours amaretto in the creamer.
Oh, I know I like this
Amaretto in
woman.
our coffee.
That's fantastic.
And then we're going out to dinner too. I'm taking her out to dinner. So I'm
Nice.
breaking her out because the poor woman has basically been housebound for 3 years because of COVID.
Right.
She's so afraid. She's so afraid of COVID, right? They've just done such a horrible thing to our senior. Like they just have our seniors so scared, you
Yeah.
know?
If
So,
you're over
so
75, you're going to die. It's
right.
basically the messaging, right? I mean,
So she calls me every Tuesday when she's having her because she's convinced it's Tuesday. So every Tuesday when Rhoda's having her coffee, she calls me, "Mary, I'm having my coffee," and she will talk to me for an hour.
nice.
So I'm so excited. So I thought this was like a nice, fun thing to talk about, to
Yeah, it's
share with
sweet.
you instead of death and destruction and everything else. Because my Rhoda, man, she's awesome. Tina, I love Rhoda stories.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
Porchview Farm, how fun. Yes, and I will tell you all about it on Tuesday. Oh no, Tuesday, you're doing the podcast Tuesday. But I'll tell you when I get back.
All right.
Tina, I don't know if you know this, but I used to love the old show the old show for Rhoda and Oliver stories. Yes. So yeah, so if you didn't know, but you'll hear a lot about Rhoda on this show when I get to talk to her and when I get to see her. I don't get to see her as much. She she would get me in trouble. And I'll tell the story quickly for those of you who don't know my Rhoda. And it's Rhoda and Mary, which I think is hilarious. Mary Tyler Moore, Rhoda, remember Rhoda
Yeah,
Morgenstern and
yeah,
Mary
yeah.
Tyler Moore, right? So one day, so Rhoda used to live next door to me and she had a 2-bedroom apartment. And her son, I guess, was always living there with her. So she wanted to get a 1-bedroom because she didn't want him living there with her anymore. Because at the time he was like in his 60s, right?
Right.
So Rhoda's in her 90s and he's in his 70s now, right? So, but he's great too. I love them, love them. And so I'm walking out of my apartment one day. I'm going upstairs to go work out. And Rhoda, for a while, had been telling me that she wanted my apartment, which was right next to hers, but it was a 1 bedroom. So she wanted my apartment because it was on the sunny side of the street. So she wanted that because the other side was quiet, but it was like by the woods, but it was dark, but at least it was quiet. So I wanted to go to the back side of the building because it was quiet. Because I had to go to bed at 7 o'clock at night and get up at 3 o'clock in the morning, right?
Yeah. Ooh.
It was always really noisy. Mary, you're going to move out and you're going to give me your apartment. I'm like, Rhoda, where am I going to go? You don't worry. You'll find an apartment. I'm like, you don't have a lot of furniture to move. Rhoda, I'm not moving. So I'm walking out of my apartment one day. I'm getting ready to go. I'm going upstairs to go work out. And Rhoda's got her little laundry cart, pulling it behind her down to the laundry room. Oh, Mary, I'm so glad I saw you. I have to show you something. Now, I did not realize this, but I kind of figured it out after a while. Whenever someone would move out, they would send the crew in. They cleaned it. They painted it. Excuse me. They would redo the floors if they had to, right? But the doors would never be locked. So after about like around 5:30 at night, like when Rita moved out across the hall, I'd hear people going in and out of her apartment. Like, what the hell's going on? And it was all Q-tips in and out. It was all little old people going in and out. So the Coconut Telegraph with the old people in the building was that somebody moved out, so you could go in and check out those apartments. So that was like a thing that they did. They would go in and check out the apartment because some had newer kitchens. They all, so they would always be in and out, and it was a thing. So we go down the hall, and I'm going to go upstairs. She goes, "I want you to shut." Because you can wait. Working out can wait. I want to show you something. Okay. And we go into Fred's apartment. I'm like, Rhoda, I don't think we're supposed to be in here because Fred had just left because Fred had to go. I have a Fred story too. The old people on my floor were a riot, just a riot. So she opens up the door and we go in. I'm like, Rhoda, I don't think we're supposed to be in here. So at the far end, in the living room section, by the living room dining was just one big room, and then the kitchen, and then there was like a teeny tiny little hallway bathroom and 1 bedroom. And there's this guy who's redoing the floors, and he looks at us, and I'm like, this is not my idea. I don't want to. And she's like, no, just come in. I'm like, okay. She's totally ignoring this guy who's telling her, no, 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 no. So she goes, Mary, I want to show you this. I'm like, Rhoda, I'm not. I go, Rhoda, this, I'm not moving. Or she says, why are we looking at this? I said, do you want to move to this apartment? I thought you wanted to be on the sunny side. She goes, oh, this isn't for me. It's for you. You're moving. I'm like, what? Rhoda, I'm not moving. I'm not going to live here. You're moving. I'm like, Rhoda, I'm not moving here. This kitchen is in crappy shape. This kitchen was like from the 60s. I had a brand new kitchen that was brand new, done in like the 90s, but still it was a newer kitchen. Look at this kitchen. I'm not moving here.
Yeah.
It was a mess. And so he says to us, don't walk past her. He's polyurethaning the floors. Just stay in that, don't come down here. So I'm looking at it. All of a sudden, Rhoda disappears, and I hear, what? Boom. Like, where the hell's Rhoda? I go out. I hear this guy just start yelling. She didn't hear him or didn't pay attention to him. She was going to check out the bathroom and the bedroom. Hits the polyurethane. Her feet come out from under her. She hits the ground, and she's just laying like this, flat out in a puddle of polyurethane. And I'm like, oh!
Was she okay?
So I'm like, oh my God, are you all right? Are you all right? She's like, I'm fine. I'm like, what were you doing? He told us not to come over here. She goes, oh, I didn't hear him. And she's just laying there, and he's looking at me, and I'm like, so he's like, he whispers to me, go, we got to get her up because the polyurethane's sticky. Like, she's going to dry. She's going to get stuck.
Oh God.
So she's trying to get up, and her feet are just going, boom, 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 boom. She can't get any traction.
Oh.
So this is my best Rhoda story. So he and I each grab an arm, and we just literally pull her out of the polyurethane to the dry section of the floor that he hasn't done yet. And she's like, we got to get her up because she's going to stick to the floor.
Right.
So we're going to have to cut her out of her clothes or something. What are we going to do? So we finally get her up. When I tell you it was from the top of her head all the way down the back of her, I am not kidding. She was polyurethane from the top of her head all the way down, right? And I'm like, "Are you okay?" She's like, "I'm fine. Let's go." And she just walks off. And I look at the guy, I'm like, "I'm so sorry. This was not my idea. I didn't want to be in here. This is not my idea." Now he's got to redo the floor. That whole section's got to be redone, right? And he ran through polyurethane, right? Which, by the way, he was polyurethaning himself out onto the porch. So I'm not quite sure what the game plan was.
Yeah, right.
She just goes, "Okay, I'll see you tomorrow." Dripping polyurethane, takes her laundry cart, continues to the laundry room to just do her laundry. So the next day, I go to her apartment and I'm like, "Do you need some ice or anything?" Or maybe it was later that day. "Do you need some ice or anything?" "No, I'm fine." I'm like, "Okay." A couple days later, I see Trevor, the maintenance guy, who I love. Trevor, he's the nicest guy. So because I had no family down there, I was friends with everybody who worked there, everybody. And so I see Trevor, and he goes, "Ooh, I heard you got in trouble." I'm like, "What?" And he goes, "I heard what you and Rhoda did." I go, "Me?" I go, "Oh, no, 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 no." I told him the story. I'm like, "She wants me to move. She wanted me to move into Fred's apartment. So she's trying to convince me to move into Fred's apartment. I didn't want to go into Fred's apartment. I'm not moving." I said, "She wants my apartment." He looks at me and he goes, "Oh, if Rhoda wants your apartment, she's going to get your apartment." So long story short, Rhoda wound up moving downstairs. I was on the 14th floor. She moved down to the 7th floor.
On the sunny side.
On the colder, the quiet side, but the darker side.
Oh, so she moved lower? She ended up moving to a 1-bedroom, but still on the dark side?
So we were both on, she was in a 2-bedroom, I was in a 1-bedroom on the 14th floor on the sunny side, but it was also the street side. So if you slammed a car door, because they're high rises, if you slammed a car door on the street, the sound went boom, 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 boom.
Yeah.
So it was super, super loud. And the building across the street was continually being rebuilt, continuously. There were jackhammering, whatever. It was horrible. The back side of the building, there was a park, there was a community pool back there, there was all trees and everything. So it was darker, and because she was on the 7th floor, she was a little bit lower in the trees. She wasn't above them, so she was in the trees, but it was quiet.
Right.
But she wanted the sun. So she moved to that side because I made it quite clear I wasn't moving. So that's how me and Rhoda, that was like one of our very first adventures together.
That's awesome. Yeah. Just dragging you around the building like, "You're coming here."
Yeah. "Oh, no, no, no. This is for you." I'm like, "No, Rhoda, I'm not moving. I have to pay a cleaning fee, like a cleaning fee to move out. I'd have to, there's all these fees and everything. You got to, I'm like, "I'm not moving." So, all right. So I'm going to see Rhoda this weekend. So I will have stories for you.
I can't wait.
All right. So one quick story for you. There was there's a publication called Personality and Individual Differences. Let me get out of here to see if there's any comments. Let me go check our friends over on Getter. MPJMY says, "Love the stories about your kids also because they're very relatable." And I think they say kids. I think they mean my cats.
Wait a minute.
Okay, so there's a publication called Personality and Individual Differences. And according to research that they did, men who have greater upper body strength are perceived to be more conservative because they're considered to be more competitive.
That's I wouldn't have thought that at all.
Yeah, absolutely. Very quickly, Tina says, "Rhoda has a Betty White sassiness to her. You have no idea. You have no clue." Porchview Farm, "You cannot beat relationships like this. Very special." Yes. Tina, "He had an imprint of Rhoda on the floor." Yes, like a chalk outline at a crime scene. Greg, this would make a great sitcom. Let me tell you, if I was down with Rhoda full time, I should have started I should have started recording our escapades. The crap that we did. Okay. So the study author is a guy named Mitch Brown. He's an instructor of psychological science at the University of Arkansas. He says, "There is a consistent perception of physically strong men who have upper body strength that is easily identified. as espousing more conservative viewpoints relative to physically weak men. Physically weak men are perceived more to be more left-leaning, more liberal. But it kind of makes sense. When I see a man in skinny jeans and a man bun, and he's like, I weigh more than he does, I automatically assume he's a liberal.
Sure, but I mean, I know a lot of gym rats that are definitely liberal. I mean, they're big dudes, and then I think of sports people like football players. They're all relatively liberal leaning. I don't know, but I know what you mean about the man bun guy. I mean, I certainly think there's a contingent of big people, and I wouldn't always say it's because of their physicality. Like if I'm looking through a gym and I'm looking at people that are all like big and upper, I see the guy with like the American flag hat with the blue in the middle or something.
Right.
I'm like, there. I mean, there's or even like certain type shirts. You know, you see like Punisher shirt or like there's like some pretty typical guys that I'd be like, they're probably leaning to the right, but at the same time,
Yeah. Tina says James has no upper body strength. What does that make him? Well,
very liberal.
He is more liberal leaning, is he not? Yes, he is. The
according to that study, yeah.
Yeah, that's right. Although, did you see who just came out for Trump 2024? Big announcement.
Mm-mm.
Waka Flocka Flame.
No kidding.
Yeah. Big Trump 2024 announcement.
Would not have saw that coming.
Waka Flocka, yeah. Okay, researchers recruited hundreds of students to take part in 4 experiments to investigate the link between political orientation and being, a chiseled physique, if you will.
Yeah.
The participants were asked to guess the political opinions of 8 men and rank their assumed strengths, income, and morality. The students were also asked to identify the men who they believed were more likely to oppose liberal goals, such as higher taxes, abortion, and immigration. The results of the survey revealed that stronger men were usually assumed to be more conservative. This is a quote, stronger men are motivated to pursue strategies to acquire resources and status through direct competition and the promotion of hierarchical social organization, according to the study. Therefore, quote, these men support social policies favoring the use of aggressive bargaining and hierarchy maintenance strategies, similar to conservative approaches. Weaker men are presumed to be neither conservative nor liberal. He said strong men have considerable bargaining power that would have historically led to winning contests for resources more easily. When they gained access to resources, they would have ascended hierarchies and thus codified social norms of competition in which they had a competitive edge. Meanwhile, physically weaker people did not have that power and would conversely favor group norms that are less competition focused, where everybody is equal, everybody gets the same amount regardless of ability, that kind of thing.
Right.
This study builds on previous research that found that men's physical strength correlates with their political attitudes. More than half of millennial and Gen Z women find it a relationship red flag if a partner listens to the Joe Rogan Experience podcast and refuses to see the Barbie movie, according to the results of a new poll that revealed that young women are overall more liberal than men, which we know that. The research revealed that 55% of women found it a turnoff for a partner to listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. 53% said it was off-putting for a love interest to refuse to see Greta Gerwig's summer blockbuster Barbie. The biggest red flag for young women was for a potential partner to identify as a MAGA Republican. 76% of those polled admitting this would make them want to run for the hills. And now you know why so many young men and women are not married. They can't find somebody. There you go.
Who knew?
Well, these women are going to wind up being very, very lonely. Porchview Farm says, I saw that today. Yeah, Waka Flocka Flame came out. I became a Waka Flocka Flame fan. Say that 5 times fast, as Tina just said. When he was on, there was a show for marriage counseling. It was a reality show, and they put all these people in a house, and it was all like they had like the situation from Jersey Shore and his wife, but they had one with all rappers, and Waka Flocka and his wife were on there. And I really respected them. He was like really common sense, down to earth. I really, really admired him on that show. And that's when I became a fan, not of his music, but just of him personally. I was like, oh, I like this guy. And now that he came up for Trump, I'm like, dude, yes. So
You're gonna be like, you're gonna have his first song down.
I know.
Dropping that chorus.
Greg says, I think the head shrinkers dream this stuff up to justify their own existence. Wait a minute, though. Hold on. Porch Soren says, I have to say it. There is nothing like a real man chopping firewood in a snowstorm or hauling hay. Exactly. So I've seen some videos that have been on Twitter usually because I'm not on Instagram or TikTok. I'm not on either one of those things. I would need people to be on Instagram. I just don't have the time. And TikTok, I refuse because of the Chinese. I'm not getting on TikTok. But so people will repost these videos on Twitter, like Libs of TikTok, Riot, I forget what her name is, Chaya Raychick or whatever. And so there's Libs of Reddit, all this stuff. And there's these videos of young women who can't understand why they want a more like a man who's going to take charge, who's going to take the lead, but she can't understand why they're all conservative. And she wants a liberal man. I'm like, well, by definition, you're not going to get that from a liberal guy. It's just by definition, it's not who they are. And I'm with Porchview Farm. Yeah, give me a man's man. Hello, yes. I
like a man's man.
But I think it correlates. I think there's a lot to this, despite Greg. I know you said they just think this stuff up, but I think there's a lot to this.
Well,
I think there's something to this, to a guy who's like, a take charge kind of guy. I don't view like these skinny little liberal dudes as take charge kind of guys, right?
Yeah, you look at Jon Stewart, you think thinker, you don't think bodybuilder.
Right. But I don't also necessarily think that bodybuilders are stupid. And I don't
No, I didn't say that, but you know what I mean? You don't
right.
You know what I mean? You think of the liberal more as like a, not a literal, but you know what I mean? You think of them more as like a sitting down and reading a book guy.
Right.
As opposed to a take charge guy. Yeah.
Yeah, I just don't want a guy who I'm going to have to kick someone's ass because he can't. You know what I mean?
Right.
I like a guy who I feel can protect me. Like, my husband's a good shot, and that's all that matters. Although he's good with like sporting clays and moving objects. I'm the sniper in the family. I'm good with the stationary objects.
Right.
So between the two of us, we got it covered. But right? Like I want a man. Like women? I think it's just ingrained that women want a man who can provide and protect. Because when you come down to it, women have the babies. And women usually wind up taking care of them. Even in a household where the woman's out working, who takes off when the kids are sick at school? Mom, not dad. Kids want their mom when they're sick. That's just the way that it is. So a lot of these stereotypes exist for a reason, right? So if that's the job that's the role you're going to have as a woman, he better be able to protect the nest and he better be able to bring back the food, right? So if I've got a liberal guy who can't protect the nest and can't bring back the food to feed the kids, do I have to do it all?
How does this work in a modern scenario where the man is having the baby? Do you then want the woman in that situation to be the protector?
Well, a lot of women in that situation usually are a little bit bigger than the guys anyway.
Yeah. Okay.
And a little bit more manly than the guys anyway, Hey,
we're pro-diversity. We're just showing the example. I'm just saying, in that situation, I bet the woman is the stronger one.
I know some relationships of same-sex people, more on the women's side than on the men's side, where, especially if they have kids, where one of the women stays home and she has the kids, and then she raises the kids, and the other one goes out and works. Mm-hmm. Right? Somebody in the relationship better be able to do that. And you can't expect the women to have the kids, raise the kids, and be the one who brings home the majority of the money. You just can't. That's just not attractive to most women. So I love these videos of these liberal women, these young college girls who don't want a conservative man. I don't want a MAGA Republican. Blah, blah, you listen to the Joe Rogan Experience. I want nothing to do with you because they're so uber liberal. But then they can't understand why they can't find a guy who makes more money than they do, who would be able to, if she decides to have kids, would be able to feed the family and protect the nest at the same time. They just don't seem to go together.
Seems difficult.
And I know it's a total stereotype. I know I'm totally stereotyping. But stereotypes do exist for a reason.
I was going to say the same thing. They do.
Yeah. So, all right. Let's see. This is interesting. Scott says, I heard probably on the radio that General George Washington had these really large calves, which is why people followed him and thought of him as a leader. So, funny thing, I learned when we were in Williamsburg. So, you know how the men back there they always would show them in paintings, like showing the 1 foot forward with the foot turned out to the side, remember?
Yeah.
And they would be like bowing a little bit. Calves were sexy back then. And so the men would show their calves. That's what they did.
Who knew?
Who knew? There you go. I don't know, James. How are your calves?
Actually, I got of all my features, my calves might be my nicest.
Oh, so you should go back to those little pantaloons with the tight stocking, you know?
That's what I'm talking about.
Tina says, James, I'm more of a man than you. Keep trying, sunshine. Well, that's not nice. It's not nice.
Might be true there.
Porch View Farm says, my husband in his overalls working on our farm is better than any soy lefty. He can be very stubborn, but I couldn't deal with a pushover. Yeah, I don't want to push over either. Chris says LeBron James is 6'8", 260-pound liberal. Wait, you would still need your firearms to protect you both. Yeah, he's that much of a liberal. He hires someone, right? He hires someone to take care of him and protect him.
Yeah, he does.
Listen, I can see where for a woman, he's still providing the protection though. Like even though he's paying someone else to do it, he's still providing it.
Mm-hmm.
So I can see where that's attractive. You know, I get it. So I
get in my MAGA bodyguard's car.
My MAGA bodyguard. Wait,
car.
what?
I said, get into my MAGA bodyguard's car. That's what he's saying.
Oh yeah, exactly.
Big MAGA bodyguard, you know.
Yeah, and I'm not saying that all men who are ripped or who are like that way or more alpha males are conservative. Of course not. But I find it interesting that stereotype exists.
Yeah.
Because when I thought about it, I'm like, yeah, I do know some skinnier guys who you definitely would look at and I'm like, I can so take you, dude. Because I grew up with brothers. So I'm like, I can so take you. Who are conservative.
It goes the same way. Dan Soder has a comedy bit about tattoos. He's like, I see a 20-year-old with a bunch of tattoos all up and down his arm and all body thing. And I'm, like, hey, Caleb, relax. You know what I mean? I see an old man with one. and I'm not doing this any justice, but he goes, I see an old man with like an anchor on his arm, and I know he's seen death.
Right.
He's exactly right. Like nobody cares about a 20-year-old all tatted up. You you can take that guy, but you see an older guy with some tattoos. You're like, I don't know.
I know we're running over here, but can I just say one thing about tattoos? I'm old enough to remember when they were a sign of rebellion. Like I'm gonna get a tattoo. I'm a bad guy. Everyone has them now. Everybody has a tattoo. Your grandma's got a tattoo. Everybody's got a tattoo. You know what a sign of rebellion is? Not having a tattoo.
Like this guy.
Me.
Right.
I don't even have pierced ears because everybody was getting their ears pierced. And I was like, no, because everybody was doing it. Even back then, I was like, no. I just find it gross to stick up, to make holes in your ears and stick metal through it and hang stuff off of it. I find that really barbaric.
Right. So you're out on nipple rings then. It's just never.
Yeah. Ew. No. Gross.
I have a friend.
And it's so funny that people who think that earrings are okay would look at that and say it was gross. Like, what's the difference? It's just a different body part, right? So why is it okay on your ears, but not like through your nose or nipples or something like that?
Nose rings are very acceptable now. I see grannies with nose rings now.
What happens when you sneeze or you have a cold? I've had the flu for 10 days. I've been battling a cough and a runny nose for 10 days. What happens?
Well, I don't have one. Yeah, I don't.
Does the snot come out the side of your nose? Like, do you have to blow your nose by covering the whole thing?
Yeah, I guess.
Ew.
I don't know. Oh. How do you eat with a tongue ring or a lip ring? I mean, oh. Can't do it.
You know what? I get there's some people who just love physical pain, but I will tell you, mental pain lasts way longer and leaves permanent invisible scars. You want pain? Go to my family's house for Thanksgiving. There you go. That will scar you for life, and you will never forget that. My family can make Guantanamo prisoners cry. So
I want to go back to my country and face persecution.
Exactly.
You solved the immigration problem right there. Just filter them through on Thanksgiving. One in and right back out to their country.
Exactly. Let's see. Oh, Jerry, another one of my classmates says, "What has two thumbs and no tattoos or piercings? This guy."
That's right.
Tina, I had a nose ring for a while. It hurts. I'm going to ask why. Why? I don't understand. I also love people. I see them on reality shows who have no money. They have like no money, but they've got the manicures, the tattoos, the piercings. They spend the money on that.
Boy, that stuff's
The
expensive, too.
manicures, the long nails, but they have no money. Let's see. Gregory says, "I'll never disfigure myself unless I get one of those flying eyeballs smack dab in the middle of my forehead." I kept getting it stuck when I slept. Oh my God. So Tina, so when you would get it stuck on your pillow and stuff from your nose? Oh, that's so gross.
And painful. Imagine that wake up. That can't be a great feeling. Just feeling your nose ripping as you're trying to turn over.
That's so gross. Oh, that's terrible.
That's my wife, ladies and gentlemen.
Oh my God.
That's my wife.
Awful. That makes me want to bring back the pictures of Rhoda. God, it's terrible. Oh.
Although Rhoda seems just feisty enough to get a tramp stamp, so I'm just saying.
If I got her drunk, which by the way, every now and then we go out, and I'd have to drop her off, and she'd be like, because I have to park the car, I have to drop her off, and she'd be like, "Tell me, don't tell Stuart," her son, "don't tell Stuart." I'm like, "Don't worry, I'm not going to tell him." I was like, "Oh my God, I practically brought her home in a shopping cart." I think we're going to do that this weekend.
I'd like pictures.
I'll take pictures. But she's probably going to be on her best because he's coming out to dinner with her son's coming out to dinner with us. So she won't pull her usual. When it was her, the Yentas, and me and some of my friends, we would go out. One time we went out to that restaurant that I showed the picture of us, Leah's in Chevy Chase. We would go out there, Chef Jeff, one of his restaurants, great restaurant. We would go there and I'd have them all. And it was literally 3 blocks from where we were, 3 blocks. And I had to drive them. I had to drive the Yentas, right?
Yeah. They're not walking 3 blocks.
Not walking 3 blocks. I had to drive them. And so one time she's there and she made friends with the bartender. So she asked for a glass of wine. She goes, "And could you fill up?" He brought her, I kid you not, a goblet. It was the biggest glass, and he put it in front of her. And I'm like, "Oh, Jason, Justin, whatever the hell your name is, you know not what you've just done." She goes, "Ooh," she's all excited. "Ooh, thank you."
Oh, that's fantastic.
And then, I had all the Yentas drunk, so I have to herd them back to the car.
Like drunk
Hilarious.
cats.
Hilarious.
That's
I'm like, "Oh my God, here we go." I was driving Miss Daisy and her friends. She's like, "Shh, don't tell my son." I'm like, "Don't worry."
Safe with me.
All right, kids. Thursday, I will be on, I'm in for Andrew Wilkow on Sirius Patriot Channel 125. That's noon to 3 on Thursday. On Monday, I should be on the Chris Salcedo show between 4:30 and 5. We'll see. Sometimes we get bumped if something big happens, like 2 weeks ago, not this Monday, but the Monday before that, we got bumped because there was this whole war in Israel thing going on. So we got bumped. So sometimes we get bumped. All right. And then Tuesday, we will be back here, right here on Life with Mary Walter. All right. And you can follow me on Twitter at Mary Walter Radio. You can find James at Switch, the number 2, Richard, but he doesn't post anything.
Not usually. I might start.
Okay. Well, you said that before, so you should.
It's a true story. I probably should.
Yeah, you should start. That
Maybe
would be great.
Picture?
I'm sorry?
Maybe a picture.
Yeah, post something. That would be fantastic. That would be nice. So thank you so much for joining us. Please like the podcast. Please tell your friends. Subscribe if you have not done so. And you can go back and watch some older ones that are available on YouTube. YouTube, you look under streams. That's where they all are. There's streams. Like 3 live ones, and that's just because they were taped earlier. I don't know why, but everything else is under streams, and we have a whole bunch of guests, and there's lots of them to watch.
Just go back and watch them.
That. Yeah. And Apple Podcasts and Spotify, just look for Mary Walter Radio. So that is that. We are out of here. Thank you for staying with us. We appreciate it. I know we ran late. Have a wonderful, fantastic week and a great weekend, everybody. Bye-bye. Oh, there we go.